Everybody, this is Calvin Waite. I trade crypto for a living. I'm not a registered or licensed financial advisor, planner, or broker, so nothing on this channel should be taken as a recommendation to buy or sell. I also trade all of these things, so I probably have a vested interest in there. But there's plenty of entertainment value and lots of education, so this will be awesome. For those of you who didn't know, my subscription channel is live. So look at the link in the description over at cryptoinfluencers.com and you can see how I make all of my trades and what I do and what I think about everything. This channel is for more hypothetical and looking at trends, and the other one is for actual trading, so you might be interested in that. All right, how's everybody doing? Happy Friday today. I wanted to apologize for missing the last few days. I have 6 kids, and yesterday one of my boys had a birthday. We have two kids that have a birthday inside of a week, so it's been a wild week for me. And so the last 2 days I just couldn't quite get there. So I really apologize. We'll get back on schedule and things will be good. Not too much has happened. I mean, there's been a lot of volatility, but we haven't really budged from where we are. So I don't think we've missed out on too much price action, but we'll get there. We'll talk about it and see. We'll try to get caught up before the weekend here today. Did want to recognize Hasib Nadim for winning our $25 from yesterday. And because I didn't get on and finish, I just want you to know that I still am doing this $25 every day, even though it may or may not look like it sometimes. But Barbarian Calderon is our winner for the day before. And then before that, I'm pretty sure I sent it out even without mentioning it. I just went ahead and did it. Amandus, yeah. So anyway, every day I'm giving away $25. Just put your Ethereum address in here. Make sure you are subscribed though to the free channel over here at cryptoinfluencers.com. Once you're subscribed and then you just comment your Ethereum address, you're good to go. Sometimes I'll give slightly better odds to anyone who makes a comment in here. So that is really cool. So there's something to think about there. All right, let's get down to it. I'll tell you where I want to start today. The stock market in the United States has another hour and 45 minutes before we close out the final candle of this week. And we are in the middle of something potentially earth-shattering. Our highest close in the last year was here, 429.70. This is on the SPY, which is kind of it's a ETF of the S&P. It's just I think they just took out $1, or they did a factor of 10, so it's 1/10 of the true S&P. But we're now trading at 430. If we close above this line here, we will officially have the highest close since April 22nd of 2022. This is more than a year. We've been watching this very carefully. We have been expecting, we're just looking at the trends. We're not listening to the news. We're not drinking in all of the misdirection that happens on news media. We are simply looking at the market. And we had a situation where we had a low and then a high, higher low, higher high, and then we put in a lower low. So we broke our bull trend right here. And then when we made this move, we officially exited our bull market because we now had a lower high and a lower low in the books. And this was the start of the meltdown. So we melted down pretty good and moved down, 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 lower high, lower lows, lower low. This high was questionable because it was a chance to kind of break out of this. And then instead we ended up putting in a lower low. So we knew we weren't out of the woods. But we had the biggest bullish engulfing candle ever right here. And from that point on, we did put in a lower high, but our next low was higher. And this was our first indication that perhaps we might be changing directions and going into a bull market. Now we put in a higher high than this, higher low, and we're in a bull market. Green zone, all of our averages are lined up. Everything's looking really good. If I go to the weekly, it looks even better. You can kind of see how there was this kind of switching line right in here. We popped above it, came back and found it as support, and boom, we were out of here, which is phenomenal. If you look at it on the monthly, it's even more clear because that's where I drew this line. It was essentially this line here that we've been watching for a bullish impulse. 21 days left on this candle, so you kind of have to ignore it for now. But we definitely had a support candle with its nose right above the 20, and we got our nine month coming up soon. Everything's looking good. I know everyone's got a 100% guarantee that we're having a recession, and we still might, but the chart is not showing it yet. So I would rather listen to the chart than listen to the words that come out of people that have so much money that they can manipulate the markets, and they're trying to trick investors into losing their money. So this looks pretty phenomenal. The S&P is on a roll. And so with all of the negative news and all the things that are causing the S&P to go, they would expect it to be down, but the market is going up. There's more bad news in the markets on Bitcoin. So now let's switch over to Bitcoin and see what's happening here. So Bitcoin, let me go to the daily. In the last few days, we've had the most probably blatant attacks on crypto that we've ever seen, especially from the SEC. They are suing everybody. Everybody that has done anything. They're declaring everything security, and they're suing Coinbase. They're suing Binance. And so if you go over to CoinMarketCap, go to CoinMarketCap, click on exchanges. Guess who the top 2 exchanges in the world are? Binance and Coinbase. So this is a direct attack on crypto. There's this old saying that people used to say throughout Bitcoin growing up. First they laugh at you, or first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, then you win. And we are in that fight stage. I still am amazed how freedom-loving countries are fighting the freest type of technological innovation in finance that has ever existed. It is amazing to me. And what's weird is it used to be the freedom-loving countries that allowed Bitcoin, and that's why Coinbase and all these others kind of really originated. They all got their start back in 2014 and 15 in the United States. It was the freedom-loving countries that gave the okay, or at least let these things go, and it was the really strong communist or really controlling countries, or countries that had really bad inflation like Argentina and others, that were really against crypto because it represented an exit from their system, or at least an alternative. It's not necessarily, the full solution. There's a lot of debate about that, and I've got my opinions there, but it's just an alternative. It's a way of people having their own personal freedom. Well, now it's flipped. We have Russia creating, giving the stamp of approval on an exchange in their country. We have China that's got some really progressive ideas in Hong Kong about crypto. We have just a lot of countries that have a little bit been more questionable as far as their governments and dictatorships and control, that are absolutely embracing Bitcoin, or at least crypto, and they're kind of pushing forward. And it's now the other countries, well, mostly the United States, that is just fighting it tooth and nail. So it really makes me think. I tweeted out the other day after Gary Gensler had, called crypto a scam and all of this and that, and it feels very paid off. I feel like he's a sellout, that he's not really interested in protecting investor rights. He's fighting Bitcoin specifically, or at least crypto. And who in the world would be interested in fighting that? It would be anybody who thinks that they have control in the old system. That could be politicians, it could be banks, It could be anybody that loves the old world. They have complete control. They live it. They dominate it. They can control the masses. And anything that's starting to threaten that is a threat to them. And so you can see where the corruption is bubbling out to the surface. And where is it showing up? Through the SEC. So that means I feel like the SEC is a corrupt organization. They are. It's interesting how when you give the world a clear and blatant alternative that is free, whoever fights it is the one that is secretly against your freedom. So there's a lot to kind of learn from that. But yeah, Binance and Coinbase are the two that are being attacked in the United States more than anybody else. And they are the top two. So huge. I mean, that's very obvious. So because of that, Bitcoin is doing the most volatile moves that you can possibly get. We are all over the map. I was so excited after we had this bullish engulfing candle here. I thought, oh my goodness, this is such a statement for this move here. And then we just really sunk hard the next day, and it just feels like we are getting absolutely whipsawed up and down. And it's because nobody knows what to think. And part of it is, I always call news misdirection. But if the news contains actual facts, then suddenly there's information. It's kind of like when BP oil had their oil pipeline broke, that they had broken it at the bottom of the sea, and it was just spewing oil all over the Gulf of Mexico. And it's not a you can kind of blame FUD on something. You can be like, oh, these guys are irresponsible or this or that, and their stock price might take a hit. But I remembered watching their stock price go down every day because every day that hole was polluting the ocean, and you just knew that they were going to end up, their cost of reparations was getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And so real news is a thing. Just hearsay and I think this and I think that, and these indicators proclaim this. Those types of news, I practically want to go the opposite direction. But, when you've got the most powerful financial institutions in the world going after the top two crypto exchanges, there's some real news, but this is how I'm interpreting it. And I'm going to interpret along with the chart. So the chart is pulling back, right? Right now, I kind of believe that the worst news that you could possibly get is already out there. Like, what more are you going to hear? I mean, until they say the United States is declaring a ban on crypto and it's 100% illegal right now. That's probably the worst thing that could possibly happen for crypto. But still, the news is so toxic and so negative against Bitcoin. And what are we doing? We're literally going sideways. So in other words, when the market does not budge, when it has the biggest onslaught of bad news, I think the bears are exhausted. There's nobody on the fence that hasn't sold. Anybody that is drinking in the bad news or is scared away from crypto or anything else, they're long gone. They're long gone. So what I'm actually seeing is the most bullish situation possible. We have the worst news, and we're essentially just going sideways. It's volatile, but we're going sideways. So the lesson and the takeaway from this is that we're probably about as close to the bottom as possible. When the news is the most enthusiastic and pro-crypto, you're probably near the top. When the news is as anti-crypto as you possibly can get, you're probably near the bottom. That's how that works. Well, we've been pulling back. And in about, so 5.5 hours from now, Friday's trading action will be done. and we'll be heading into the weekend where, granted, things can, markets can be thinner, so they can be somewhat volatile. But the big players have kind of made their decisions by the end of Friday. And normally volumes drop off and we go generally fairly sideways. Well, if we stayed right where we were and we closed the week exactly where we are, look what's happening on our weekly. You can see this pullback happening. But so far, we are holding the 200 and we have a nice long wick underneath us. And this is looking more like a hammer, a bullish hammer reversal candle than anything. And in fact, anything higher we get is going to only look more bullish. And so we have a pretty sweet setup for entering the weekend here. If we can get a close where we have held the 200 week and we have this much support underneath us where we've tagged the 50 month and we've gotten close enough to flipping resistance between this wick and these wicks. I mean, it was off by like $80 or something. I mean, it's close enough. It really is. So we've done everything we need to. If we get this reversal candle, it's probably finally time to get going again. So we should probably start turning the corner, I would say, in the next couple of weeks. Next week, potentially, could be the beginning of it all. So I'm actually extremely optimistic. When people are absolutely bashing it and doing everything they can possibly do to cast shade on the crypto industry, and all we did was slightly dip. We couldn't even intersect wicks from this section to this section. I mean, who's left to sell? Who in the market is ready to sell? Is there something else that's going to come out that's going to scare them? I don't think so. If you haven't been scared out by now, you're out. And so that means there's nothing left but buyers. There's either holders or buyers. And so if everyone's holding and waiting and our chart structure improves and next week we start getting a little bit of a bullish engulfing candle off the top of this, people are going to, all the money of the people that got scared and were sitting on the sidelines, they're going to start dumping in. And we're going to start seeing some movement to the upside. I mean, that's just the way I'm reading this. I mean, how I read a chart, I look at formations and I look at, all these kind of indicators and everything. I'm interested in all of that. But what I'm really looking for when I'm reading a chart is what's the emotion in this chart. And the emotion that I'm reading from this is that the pessimists and the people that are scared and all the fear has been washed out. Like, I don't see any fear left in this market. We're essentially going sideways in the most terrible news you could possibly get. And the bad news came out in the last 3 days. Like, shouldn't we have just completely sold off in the last 3 days? But we're not. And so I'm reading the chart, with all of that in mind. We're probably ready for our next leg up. We've pulled back for a while. This from this top to where we are now has been 56 days. We've pulled back for a solid 2 months. Moves in crypto, they don't last more than a couple months. I mean, we can just look at some of these most recent ones. Top to selling climax, 77 days. So like 2.5 months. Like this was probably one of our biggest moves from top to bottom here, 77 days. So when we're really on a very directional run, it's only, it's a matter of maybe 2.5 months at the max. But these little moves, we'll take it from the climax to the selling climax to the top was 56 days. If I go from this top, hang on one second. This top to the bottom here, 42 days, just over a month. Like these moves are short. Traders have a short attention span, and we'll go from lows to highs, and things happen in the course of a couple of months. Yeah, this was probably one of the biggest runs we had. Let's see how long this lasted. 126, so 4 months. So we're on our way down. Like you know, when bears have been in control for 2 months and all they can do is barely pull us back, just barely, and all of our major averages and everything are holding like crazy. This is so bullish. Like, I'm looking at this chart like, man, it's probably the best time to get in at this point because, you know, I don't know what news would we wake up tomorrow morning and the market just drops 30%. You know, it's just like I can't even think of anything. Like all the stuff that people could throw at it has already been thrown. You know, it's kind of like the old westerns where they're listening for the 6 shots because they know there's 6 shooters out of bullets, and you know, all 6 have been out. Like there's no way that they've got a full. They don't have a single bullet left. So that's exactly how I'm interpreting this. So if Bitcoin is here and it's doing its thing, Ethereum is even better. You know, we didn't even get down to the 200. We didn't get down. We're nowhere near our 50. We got a little bit of support off the 20, so at least we came back and found an average of some kind that would make sense. But yeah, this is ready to go again. And the fundamentals, I can't even tell you enough about how bullish the fundamentals are. So we have all of this in play. So give Bitcoin a chance to start bouncing. Ethereum's going to really bounce. And we've seen Ethereum outpacing Bitcoin for quite a while now. So if I go to the daily, yeah, we are now trying to find support above the 200, and our 50 and 100 are kind of figuring themselves out. They're starting to slope back upward again, but we're kind of at a major crossroads here. And I already did a full video on this huge giant wedge where we are threatening to break out the top side of a 6-year-old wedge. So Ethereum is primed to go. And finally, if Ethereum finally goes, we'll probably see an alt season. Alt seasons happen every 3 to 6 months. And if I go to others, our most recent push ended in February, and we're in June. It's been 4 months. So we've pretty much pulled back for 4 months. And at some point, you know, and I kind of feel like it'll probably coincide with a big, strong move in Ethereum. That if Ethereum starts moving, the alts will get some attention again. Alts are getting a little bit more crushed because of all of the threats. They're a little bit less secure than some of these larger caps. But, you know, I'm really proud of Coinbase for standing their ground and standing up for some of these coins that have been declared securities, which they shouldn't have been. And so, you know, after the big shootout, we're going to see who stands. And sometimes it takes that climax before we really have clarity. So kudos to the people that are fighting those fights for us all. All right, guys. Yeah, I think Bitcoin is primed for a major change in direction. We've pulled back plenty, and there's really not that much further down that I can see, based on news and speculation and emotion. And if we close our week out looking like a bullish doji or a bullish reversal hammer, or even if we pulled up a little bit and it became a reversal doji, anything between where we are and break even will be extremely bullish. So I don't see this being a bearish close. I just don't see it. And with that, I hope you guys have an awesome weekend. We'll catch up and get going fresh and ready to go Monday morning. Hope you guys enjoy your summer weekend here coming up, and we'll catch you on the next one. We'll see ya. Thanks for making it to the end of my video. Make sure you keep those trades small. Don't force a trade. Don't get impatient. And if you want to see how all this works, please come over and check me out on the subscription channel at cryptoinfluencers.com. Again, the link is in the description.